Sunday, February 15th, 2026. Let's set the scene. We are at the Tofane Alpine Skiing Center in Cortina d'Ampezzo. The conditions are just classic Italian Dolomites. You've got that piercing blue sky, the shadows starting to get long across the course, and a crowd that is just vibrating with this very, very specific kind of anxiety.
Oh, absolutely. It's that tension you only get when the host nation has a real shot at gold. But the margin for error is, well, it's basically zero. The women's giant slalom today. It wasn't just a race. It felt more like a referendum on the entire Italian ski program.
It really did. And the stakes couldn't be higher. We aren't just talking about a medal, are we? We're
Yeah.
talking about narratives that can stick for a whole generation. So today we're going to get into Federica Brignone's masterclass in the giant slalom and maybe contrast that with the new flag energy we're seeing from Lucas Braithen.
And we're also going to unpack the physics of what's coming up next,
Right.
which is going to be a fascinating study in mechanics and, frankly, aging bodies.
Yes, the Dave Ryding day. But we have to start with Brignone.
We have to.
Federica Brignone, the golden double.
Yeah.
I mean, she's already bagged the Super G gold, and now she adds the giant slalom. But looking at the race data, this wasn't just about, raw speed, was it? It felt more like a study in risk management versus just raw aggression.
That's the perfect way to frame it. The Tofane course profile, it's deceptive. It invites you to push. The top section is steep. It's technical. It's rhythmic.
Oh.
But then it transitions into these rolling, shadowed sections where the light just goes flat. And if you are purely aggressive there,
Right.
if you're trying to win the race on every single turn, you catch an edge and you're gone.
And we saw that happen to a few contenders. But Brignone's approach felt different. She came into that second run with a lead, but she didn't seem to be skiing defensively in the usual sense.
No, not at all.
I noticed she was just so precise on the transition from the steep pitch down to the flats. She wasn't scrubbing speed, but she wasn't forcing the ski to bend more than it had to.
Exactly. This is what we call the veteran's incentive structure. Brignone knew she had the green light. She had the lead. In the second run, the course is getting worse. It's rutted. The light's not as good. A rookie, they try to expand that lead. They ski at 110%. A veteran like Brignone, she skis at maybe 95% intensity, but with 100% precision. She prioritized clean lines over hero turns.
Hero turns, that's when a skier just throws the ski sideways, right? A desperate recovery or trying to generate these massive angles to gain 1/100th of a second.
Right. And on the Tofane, hero turns usually mean a DNF. Did not finish. Brignone's genius was in recognizing that the gold medal is for the aggregate time, not the fastest split in Sector 3. She forced the chasers to take those desperate risks.
You put the burden of error on them.
On everyone else. Shiffrin, Hector, Sternesund, they had to push.
And speaking of the chasers, we have to talk about the margins. I was looking at the final timing sheet, and it is. It's just statistically absurd. The silver medal was a dead heat, a tie.
It's incredibly rare at the Olympic level. You have Sweden's Sarah Hector and Norway's Louise Sternesund finishing on the exact same combined time.
What's wild to me is that they are such different skiers. Hector is pure power. I mean, she drives that ski like she's trying to break it.
Yeah, she really does. And then Sternesund is so much lighter, more fluid, almost dancing on the edges.
How does that even happen?
Well, that's the beauty of the sport. You have two completely different biomechanical approaches solving the exact same physics problem. Hector was probably gaining time on the steep, icy parts where she could apply that maximum pressure. Sternesund was likely making it up on the gliding sections, where her touch is just so much lighter. They took different paths to arrive at the exact same 100th of a second.
Amazing. But where you have a tie for silver and a gold for Brignone, you have the inevitable heartbreak of fourth place. And today, that heartbreak belonged to the other Italian, Lara Della Mia.
This is the gut punch of the Olympics, right here. Della Mia finishes fourth, missing the podium by a blink. In any World Cup race, fourth is a great day. You get points, you get prize money. But at your home Olympics.
Devastating.
It is.
But I think we need to contextualize this for you. It's not just about, being sad. This goes back to that reputation event concept we've talked about.
Precisely. Alpine skiing is a capital-intensive sport. The funding for the next 4 years, we're talking coaching staff, wax techs, the youth development pipelines, all of that is so often dictated by medal counts at the Olympics. A gold, like Brignone's, it's an accelerant. It unlocks government grants, corporate sponsorships. It justifies the massive cost of hosting the games.
So Brignone basically just funded the next generation of Italian skiers with that run.
She did. She secured the narrative. If she hadn't won, and with Della Mia in fourth, the story in the Italian press tomorrow would be disaster on the Tofane. Instead, it's the golden age. And Della Mia, unfortunately, she bears the brunt of that pressure. Finishing fourth at home just feels like a failure to the public, even though athletically she was almost perfect.
It's a brutal business. You're either on the poster or you're a footnote. But speaking of posters and branding, let's pivot a little. We've got the established power of Italy winning at home, but there's this shifting landscape in the sport. We saw Lucas Pinheiro Brython take gold in the men's giant slalom.
The Brython factor. This is such a crucial counter-narrative.
He's the new flag guy, skiing for Brazil.
Yeah.
But it feels bigger than just his nationality. Brignone represents the system, the Italian Federation, the tradition. Brython feels like he represents, well, Brython.
That's a really good assessment. Brython is so interesting because he represents the athlete as an individual brand that's transcending the old national team structure. By winning a gold for Brazil, he validates the idea that you don't need to be part of the Austrian or Swiss or Italian machine to dominate.
Which has to be terrifying for those big federations.
It's disruptive. It shows that pure talent with the right private funding and your own team setup can beat the big state-sponsored systems. It widens the map. Suddenly, kids in countries without a big Alpine history see a path, and sponsorship money changes. It moves from Team Austria to Team Lucas.
So we have the veteran strategist in Brignone and the disruptor in Brython, and then we had the GOAT, Mikaela Shiffrin, finished 11th today.
Yeah, on paper, 11th looks like a disaster for Shiffrin.
Right. If you just scan the headlines, you're thinking Shiffrin struggles.
Yeah.
But I was digging into her sector times, her post-race comments, and the vibe is surprisingly optimistic. She called it better than expected and great practice. Is that just PR spin, or is she seeing something that we aren't?
I really don't think it's spin. You have to remember, she is rebuilding from that crash in Killington back in November 2024. That is not a minor injury to come back from in time for the Olympics.
Okay, that's fair. And looking at the splits, it's not like she was bleeding time everywhere.
Exactly. She was 7th after the first run. She finished 0.92 seconds behind Brignone. That's less than a second over 2 minutes of skiing. And she was only 0.3 seconds off the podium. In the world of high-performance skiing, that tells her that the engine is there. The speed exists.
So she's reframing this. It's not a loss, it's data gathering.
It's calibration. She talked about a flexible mentality. She's using the giant slalom to get the feel of the snow, the reaction of her skis on this specific surface to get ready for the slalom. The slalom is her main target for redemption. She needed to know that she could push without her body failing her, and she got that confirmation today.
Good turns on the hill. That was her quote. So she's focusing on the process, not the result board.
Which is incredibly hard to do when the whole world is watching you, but that's why she's the greatest. She knows that if she just cleans up 2 or 3 turns, tightens the radius just a little, that 0.92 gap just disappears in the slalom.
Well, speaking of slalom, that brings us to the main event for Monday, February 16th. If you're British, this is basically the Super Bowl. It is officially Dave Ryding Day.
A rocket!
Yeah.
And it's his 5th and final Olympics.
He's 39 years old. I mean, let's be real. In alpine skiing, 39 is usually retired in coaching territory.
Yeah.
How is he physically still generating the explosive power that you need for slalom?
It's an anomaly. It really is. Slalom is the most violent discipline. It's not just gliding, it's impact. You are hitting plastic gates that slap back at you, and you're generating massive G-force every, 0.8 seconds. At 39, recovery time is the big issue. He can't train with the volume of a 20-year-old. He has to rely on old man strength, tendon stiffness, and experience, rather than just raw elasticity.
And he's not alone. He's got Laurie Taylor and Billy Major there with him. It's amazing because these guys literally grew up with posters of Dave Ryding on their walls.
It's a mentorship that's become a peer rivalry. But let's look at the slalom science for Monday, because the conditions in Cortina are going to dictate everything.
Okay, we keep hearing about injected ice. Can you break that down for us? It's not just frozen snow, is it?
No, not at all. At this level, they use an injection bar. They literally inject high-pressure water deep into the snowpack, which then freezes into a solid, consistent block of ice. Think of it like skating on a hockey rink that's tilted at 40 degrees.
Wow. And how does that interact with the rut factor? Because by the time Ryding or Taylor skis, depending on their bib draw, maybe 30 guys have already gone down.
This is the key. Here's the physics of the rut. Modern slalom skis have this aggressive side cut. They're hourglass shaped. So when you tip them on edge on that injected ice, they want to turn now. But if a rut has formed a groove in the ice and you catch the edge of that rut with the tip of your ski, it acts like a train track. It just locks you in.
So you lose the ability to choose your own line.
You're at the mercy of the track. Now, if your timing is perfect, you can use that rut as a berm. You push against it and it shoots you out with more speed. That's the slingshot effect. But if you're a fraction of a second late, or your ski angle doesn't match the rut angle, it throws you into the back seat, and your race is over.
And that's that final sector danger zone we always talk about.
Exactly. When the legs are burning and the neural pathways are firing a bit slower because of fatigue, hitting a rut wrong in the last 10 gates, that's where medals are lost. Watch for that on Monday. Watch who keeps their hips forward, even when the ruts get deep.
Aside from the riding show, Team GB has a packed schedule on the 16th. It's not just slalom.
No, it's a huge day. Keep an eye on Kirsty Muir in the freeski big air. She finished 4th in slopestyle, another one of those heartbreak 4th places we were just talking about.
Right. But big air is a different beast. It's just one jump.
It is, and it favors her progression. She has the tricks to get on the podium. She just needs to stomp the landing. That frustration from the slopestyle 4th place, that can be powerful fuel if she channels it correctly.
And we've got Neil Treacy in short track speed skating. Talk about resilience coming back to the ice after a fall in the 1,500-meter final.
Short track is just chaos management. To get back on the line after a crash at that speed requires a special kind of amnesia. You have to forget the pain and trust the ice again, immediately.
And just checking in on the bobsleigh, Brad Hall and Taylor Lawrence are continuing the two-man, and Adele Nicole is in the monobob, currently sitting 13th.
Every run counts there. They're all fighting for tenths of a second.
So bringing it all back together, this whole deep dive really started with Brignone's gold and that concept of risk versus reward.
It really is the theme of these games. Brignone mastered the risk. She used her veteran experience to navigate the Tofane and, secure Italy's standing. She solidified the funding, the reputation, the pride of the host nation.
While Shiffrin is playing a longer game, she's managing the risk of her injury recovery to peak for the slalom. And Braithen is taking the biggest risk of all, leaving the safety of a major federation to build his own path.
And then you have Dave Ryding taking the risk that a 39-year-old body can still dance through those ice ruts against kids who are half his age.
It all comes down to that reputation event idea you mentioned at the top. These athletes aren't just racing for a piece of metal. They are racing for the viability of their careers, their programs, and their sport's future in their home countries.
That's the reality. When you see someone cross that finish line and look up at the clock, you're watching a business pitch that lasts about 90 seconds. The winners get the funding. The losers, even the 4th-place finishers, they face a really uncertain 4 years.
High stakes, frozen tracks, and paper-thin margins. Monday is going to be incredible. Thanks for unpacking it all with us.
Always a pleasure.
Keep your edges sharp, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.